Having a solid understanding of the supporting children with delays, disabilities, and disorders help you to be able to think more critical about the concepts that you will learn in future courses in the program. So, by understanding and giving support to the families who are dealing with children who are developing atypical, you eventually begin to learn that these children are more than just their disabilities or just a stigma. When I look at a child now who is developing atypical or have abnormalities, I immediately begin to notice the child first and not their disability after this course I have. Even with my own child, I used to look at his disability first. People would be like, how many kids do you have? And I would always say, oh, I have my older son, he's 16, and then I have my younger son. He's developmental delayed. He's 10, and my daughter is 6. But instead of saying, he's developmental delayed, I could just say, I have a younger son, my middle child, he's 10, because you don't want to first notice their disability. So now, after this course, I look at him first before his disability. Even though, yes, he's developmental delayed, he's Zion, to me. I am learning to see the person first. It's a huge step for me, looking at the person first, because I've never was taught to look at the person first, especially after this video that we saw in week 2, I believe. It may have been week 3, I'm sorry, but it was about person first. And she talked about how her brother was autistic, and they found that out at birth. He was rushed to Children's Hospital where he spent months there and then came home. I believe the school knew, and they kept saying how sorry they was and how sorry they were, and she didn't know what was wrong with her brother yet. Her parents finally came home, and before they brought the baby home, and let her know, that, we're bringing your brother home, and we're not going to look at him any differently. Um, we're going to treat him like we would treat one of you. He's one of our kids, and we're going to love him and treat him like we would treat one of you. And that's how she was always raised, to treat her brother like he was one of them. And when she was in, I want to say, middle school, a few kids were off to the side and she could hear the conversation. And they were talking about kids with disabilities and things like that. And she felt hurt because she knew her brother had a disability, which was autistic, and she never looked at him any differently. But these kids were saying all these things, and I think she said her eyes watered, and she was just thinking like, how could they, they're not looking at the person first. And now after that video, now I'm looking at the person first. Like, even with, like, I always refer to it as like when somebody speaks a different language, and you like, oh, why doesn't this person speak English? I can't understand them. And in my head, I'm thinking maybe they think the same about us. Why don't we speak their language? Because they can't understand us. But I've learned to look at them first, treat them like one of us, and just, get through my conversation with them. It may take a little longer for them to get the point, but if you look at them first, you're showing that you do respect them. That's the same with a child. If you look at them first, you're showing the respect. You're acknowledging that person. You're not acknowledging their disability. So, yes, I'm learning to look at the person first. Sorry. As I am my 4th week of class, I am learning to think beyond the stigma that is attached to an atypical child. Hearing that some kids cannot be taught is absurd to me. I believe all children can be taught. In this course, I have learned other ways to actually teach the atypical child. I've also learned how to make my classroom be more inclusive to an atypical child. I have also learned to make sure that I can accommodate the children within my classroom. I want to be able to help every child I come in contact with so that I may learn with them, you know. I want to teach them different ways, but I also want to learn. I'm willing to grow within this career. You will be surprised to know what you may be able to teach an atypical learner. And you will be surprised to know that what you can teach an atypical learner may also be helpful for a typical learner who is also struggling in class as well. How do I envision using this information from the course to help me in my future career working with diverse learners? I will use this information I learned in this course to try to make my classroom more inclusive for my students. I believe that whether a typical or atypical, they need to feel included. Also, in the course, I learned that it is okay to be alone and play by yourself. I want my kids in my classroom to know that playing alone is okay. You may want to read or, you know, draw or something. Those things you may want to do alone. I learned so much in this course to fit in just one journal entry. I can't do, you know. But I know I still have more to learn in order to be able to implement what I've learned in this course in my classroom. I can continue to use ScreenPal in my work to help me in my career to support children who are developmental delay by recording my notes that I take on different ways to support a developmental delayed child, or researching other videos on how they will support a developmental delayed child on ScreenPal to help me understand other points of views or to see what they got differently out of the course. That's all. Thank you.